YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. It's John Irvosis in Washington, D.C. And I'm going to leave my curtains open for a little bit, but I'm a little worried the sun's going to keep changing, so let's see what happens. Let me get TikTok going as well here. Hang on. Oops. Let's see. I always like to greet the first TikToker. First TikToker. Might be Manda Bear. Usually is. Oh, Imperator. You are the first TikToker. It's usually Manda Bear. I'm impressed somebody new. You're amazing. Hey, guys. Hey, Ashley. Hold on. I'm adjusting my little TikTok. I bought a new stand for my iPad. Welcome, everybody. It is Saturday. I know. We forget these things. Hey, guys. Hey, Smiley, Florida. Oh, my. Yeah, exactly. I'm here to interrupt your afternoon, folks. The way we like to start things for a few minutes, just to give folks time to, with my Borg implants, that's always a good thing on TikTok. We like to start by having folks just introduce where you're from. Hello, Denmark. I know Big Hawk. We'll see if they come today. They usually do. But it's kind of fun for folks just to introduce where you guys are from. I think it's neat to just see, combination of everybody, if you're comfortable doing so. Bon après-midi, mon ami. Oui, c'est 2h, 14h ici, donc c'est l'après-midi. Eh bien, il fait chaud. Il fait un chaud chiant. Good morning, Audrey-Anne and Annette. Everybody. Woo! But yeah, introduce yourselves because it's kind of fun. And as I said, we like the first 5 minutes, usually till about 5 after the hour. I started a little late today, so maybe 6 after the hour. We wait just for folks to filter in. Yes, Nancy, TikTok is going live right now. I'm chatting. Tu parles pas français, alors I'll speak English. I am live on TikTok right now, Nancy. It's amazing. It's a miracle. Hi, Ireland. Richmond. I've been to Richmond. Beautiful maple tree. Not maple. Those trees you have. Not maple. The magnolia. Oh, my God. We've got magnolia back in Chicago, but it's a different variety that can survive the winter. Just blown away at the beauty of an actual southern magnolia tree. We've got some in D.C., but hi, Germany, England. But, oh, my God, stunning, that thing. Oh, it was up in front of my friend's house. Oh, who else we got? Hello, Sweden. I am on, that's right, always to remind, I always worry like the newbies don't know. I am on TikTok here with my iPad. I am on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter here with my laptop. And that is why you will see me go back and forth, because that's what I will be doing. And I just remembered I wanted to launch the super pages that Syndicate had set up with me to track the questions you guys ask so I don't lose them. I will open that right now. But yeah, how have people been doing? Like, not too much going on since last night. I do have some good, a decent number of news updates, so we'll see how that goes. My asthma is still bothering me. What a surprise. But I'm seeing the doc next week. Allergies are so bad here. Oh, my God. No, that's funny, Motek. I didn't even see your comment, Motek. Motek's asking, how's my asthma? I've never had bad asthma. I just have, tightness in the chest. But, man, this last week, especially in D.C., has been brutal. It's been hotter than hell. But why don't you see me on TikTok? Because TikTok is evil, I think, Nancy. I am live. I'm chatting with the TikTokers right now. Google, what might be easier? Go to Google and Google. Sasha has water. I gave her a big thing. Google my name, Irvosis, and TikTok, but on Google. And it may, I hope, give you a direct link to my profile. Unfortunately, TikTok is kind of TikTok-y sometimes. I did not see Germany's news today. Thank you, Gordon, for that. Hi, London. The pollen is just, it's killing me. And I kind of made the mistake. Oh, Myron Dimitrovich. Wow, there's a name, Myron. Dimitrovich. Although with the W, I'm almost wondering if you're Polish, but does Polish have Vich type names? Or did you misspell it in there? What I'm curious, what's the background of that? Thank you, Christian. Oh man. I think I am going to do my thing again. Gosh, I've been doing my little, and as I said, in case people are coming in, we wait until around maybe another minute or so. Thank you for the Borg implants. We're waiting another minute or so just to give folks a chance because TikTok especially is a little bit evil about notifying people. Oh, your wife is Russian with family still in Russia. Oh, nice. Cool. God, that's got to be an interesting conversation. Hello, Netherlands. All right, I am going to do my allergy thing again. God damn. I'm seeing the guy next week, thank God. Okay, that was funny. Somebody put the little Borg implant thing on me while I was doing my inhaler, and it worked. It cracks me up. I'm like sucking, and it's got the Borg thing moving around. Sasha is doing well. She is napping at the moment. She was kind of wanting me to play with her, but it's so nasty. I mean, it's 90. I don't even know what the actual temperature is outside right now. What is it? 88, but gonna get hotter. So, hi Anna. All right, guys. I'm good on FYP. That's good, at least. That's good. I mean, but I can tell. See, but the TikTok numbers are horrible again. No, it's playing games. It's what do you do? You know. Thank you for the hat and mustache. Midnight. TikTok's just playing games. I'm in Washington D.C. What do you do? All right, guys. So let me explain how this works for the folks who don't know. The spacer is a good idea too. I always forget about that. Yeah, I'll have to try that. Let me explain how this works. So the Ukrainized Poles. Okay, that's why the W popped in there. Okay, I was wondering. So, okay, guys, here we go. I start off about 20 minutes, and actually, I don't have a ton of news today, so it's about 20 minutes of news, just telling you the latest stuff going on, the stuff that I think is important, and then we will jump into the question and answer period, and if you got questions, jump in with questions. And what we do is, and then I know TikTok's not notifying people. It's driving me crazy. What we do is I go till quarter after the next hour. So an hour and 10 minutes from now or so, answering questions. So we've got lots of time. Hey, Mina from New Zealand. And for your questions on TikTok, use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. That way it puts Patrick Lancaster is, oh, I know who he is. Putin's boyfriend. But use the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen to enter your question, and that way it puts all the questions in a row for me, which is really nice. Thank you, Smiley. I appreciate that. Or Smile Therapy. For YouTube, you guys know what to do, and everybody else. Use the comment box at the bottom. I will. Oh, and I say, obviously, if people are so kind as to buy the fun little stuff on TikTok, I did not realize when I first got on TikTok, but those are actually gifts, believe it or not. It actually helps pay the creator when you do all the funky stuff and the hats and everything else. So thank you for that. And I will always try to at least do an acknowledgement of it as it's happening. Sometimes I'm in the middle of talking about death and destruction, so it's a little hard to talk about the corgi, but I try. But I appreciate that from you guys. And on YouTube, as you know, you can buy a super sticker if you just want to say thank you, which I appreciate. Super chat is how you can buy a question. And again, you don't have to. You can just enter a question at the bottom. But because I get like 100+ questions a show, there's no way to answer them. So if you buy a question, I always promise I will answer that question. And to the degree possible, thank you, Flower Lady. You know that's one of my faves. To the extent possible, I will try to answer it as the next thing I get to. And again, YouTube even more than TikTok, actually. YouTube gives a better share than TikTok, but nonetheless, I appreciate it across the board. All right, guys, let's just jump right in. So, you know what? First, I wanted to mention there is a new, she's not new, but I just discovered her, Ukrainian creator on TikTok who is amazing. One of you guys recommended me to her on TikTok. I checked her out, and she and I have been now chatting by DM, direct message, whatever. Love this woman. Great content. Her name is Yulia, and her account is on TikTok. But again, anybody who's not on TikTok over here, you can Google and go on TikTok on the web. So you don't even have to have an account, and you can watch people and everything else. Her account on TikTok is YEWLEEA, which is also easy because you can pronounce it without people getting confused about the letters. So it's YEWLEEA, Yulia. The lady is fabulous. Anyway, we've been having so much fun talking, but I've been very impressed. She did a video. Anyway, I'm not even going to go through all this stuff right now. But bottom line is, she asked me to come on one of the broadcasts she's doing on something in the future. I asked her to come on with me on here. So we're going to be doing a couple of them. And I'm going to book her soon. I just love her. She's great. She's great. And she's got about 25,000 followers. She deserves a heck of a lot more. So go over there and subscribe if you can. She's great. Okay, so to top the news, Russia did in fact cut off its natural gas to Finland today. They did it because they're pissed about NATO, obviously. But ostensibly, it's because Finland refused to pay in rubles and Russia demanded it be rubles. And basically, Russia has been trying to get Europe to pay for its natural gas and oil in rubles. That is a violation of the contract. It would also be, I believe, a violation of the sanctions. So they can't do it. But Russia wants them to do it in part because Russia wants to help support the ruble. And if you pay in rubles, let's say Finland, let's say they pay, I don't know, $1 million for their gas. It's probably much more. If you've got to pay in rubles, it's just like you or me. When we have to go to a currency exchange, so to speak, if we've got to pay in euros, I've got to trade in my dollars. Well, they've got to do the same thing. They've got to trade in their euros or whatever they use in Finland and buy rubles to pay for their gas. Well, what happens when they buy the rubles? It increases demand for rubles and it raises the ruble rate. So Russia is doing this to artificially raise their currency, to inflate their currency. Anyway, they shut it off today. Finland's okay for several months. I talked about this yesterday, but basically they're getting extra gas from Estonia, and they're okay through at least the next several months until winter hits, basically. And then winter, they've got to reevaluate. So there's no problem there. Russia is trying again with those pontoons. Remember like a week or two ago when Russia had the disastrous incident when they were building, I think, 3 pontoon bridges in eastern Ukraine, trying to come further west. And the pontoon bridge, because the Ukrainians blew up the bridges, of course, very smart. So they built the pontoon bridges to bring their troops across. And the Russians basically got I think it was 7 of the 8 partitions of the bridge done. So it was almost done. They started bringing their vehicles, tanks, artillery. Thank you, Borderline, for that. Tanks, artillery, troops on these bridges. And even better, some of the troops are on the bridges, right? Well, imagine you've got a bunch of tanks and troops and artillery and vehicles lined up on a bridge. What do you have behind it? You have hundreds of people lined up on the shore and tens of vehicles lined up on the shore. Well, the Ukrainians knew it was coming. They opened fire with artillery and destroyed the entire thing. The latest Western estimate, meaning the conservative estimate, the Ukrainians are claiming more. The Western intelligence estimate is that 400 Russian troops died just by through that bombing. At least 72 tanks and armored vehicles were destroyed. I mean, disaster for the Russians. Anyway, they're trying it again today. They're and we're going to see what's happened. But they're trying over the same river. I've got my fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. According to media reports, Russian media reports, the nephew of Russia's deputy defense minister was killed in Ukraine fighting. So, oh well. Russia, this one's kind of funny. Russia today banned, God, I hope I've got this on here. Russia today banned 963 people. Oh, I saw that. Thank you. The bullseye thingy. Was that Marissa? Mariuser juice. Oh my God, that's hard to pronounce. Or Mariuser juice, depending if you're French. So Russia bans 963 people for life from coming into Ukraine. And this is pretty freaking good. It's people like Biden and Kamala Harris, right? Our vice president, our president. Then they throw in actor Morgan Freeman, who's a great guy. I'm not sure why actor Morgan Freeman is banned. It's a little weird. They just banned a number of people I follow on Twitter who aren't really that big. I mean, they're people who monitor Russia, but they're not that big of people. So that was kind of interesting. But my favorite, I'm going to see if I can find this. I've got it, but it would be funnier if I actually had it here to show you, because I want you to actually see. Oh, here we go. I've got it. I want you to see the name. So in this list, we've got Kevin McCarthy, who's the Republican, top Republican in the U.S. House. Somebody named David McKinley. I don't know who he is, but I want you to see number 475, who they banned. It may be backwards for TikTok, but you can figure it out. Okay, that's 475. I'm going to show you guys now 475. Look who's banned for life, which is particularly ironic is for life. U.S. Senator John McCain, who's been dead for 4 years. People went through the list. There's at least 5 dead people the Russians added to the list. I mean, the thing is, they're so bad at this. They're just so bad at this. The thing is, if you added people to the list, you had to have had some reason to add them to the list, right? I mean, they must have done something. Like, for example, all of these folks on Twitter that I follow, they're actually disinformation experts, and they're tweeting and writing about things the Russians are doing. So they got the Russians' attention. John McCain's been dead for, I mean, how great an American do you have to be, or a human being, that 4 years after you're dead, the Russians are still just livid with you? I freaking love it. Oh, so Morgan Freeman did post on TikTok against Putin and the war. I'm assuming he did something. He's this African-American actor, very famous, very esteemed. Morgan Freeman, just one of the great American actors. But it's just funny. And John McCain, well, the Russians aren't wrong. John McCain would support Ukraine in this war, even from the dead. But anyway, they're so bad at this. They're so bad. There was an article in the New York Times, a good article today, that I want to read some excerpts from it. Basically, Paul Krugman, Nobel Prize-winning economist, writes for the New York Times opinion articles. Yeah, his daughter, really? Megan drives me a little crazy, but the father had his moments. So the New York Times, Paul Krugman writes a piece today, and he writes opinion pieces. But the piece is basically Krugman saying that Russian is being, what was the exact, hold on, now I've got to pull this up. I want to see the exact word he used for this, but he's talking about the Russian sanctions. Well, I should say the Western sanctions against Russia, Krugman, but there was a specific word he used. How the West is strangling Putin's economy. The article is about how Krugman cannot figure out why none of our officials in the West are talking about the fact that the sanctions are really working and they're really causing damage. And he's actually right about this, right? The conventional wisdom we keep hearing is, oh, the sanctions aren't working, Russia's doing great, right? I mean, that's what you hear. Well, Krugman, I'll read you a few paragraphs. His main point is that Russia's getting decimated in terms of imports. Nobody's selling to them anymore, and it's going to shut down the economy. So let me read this to you. Russia is, in effect, making a lot of money selling oil and gas, which he acknowledges. But they're finding it hard to use that money to buy the things it needs, reportedly including crucial components used in the production of tanks and other military equipment. Somebody on TikTok pointed out to me that especially with things like tanks and military equipment, it's not only that the Russians can't import the material they need, right? They also have an increased demand for it. So at the same time that their military imports are going down because of the sanctions, their military needs are going up because of the war, because their tanks are being destroyed by the Ukrainians, things like that. He goes on. Matt Klein of the blog The Overshoot estimates that in March, exports from allied democracies, meaning Western democracies, to Russia were down 53% from normal levels. So I didn't like the way that was written, but basically countries that we are aligned with, all of us in the West, or I should say internationally, right? Japan, everybody else, imports to Russia from us are down 53%, okay? Exports, same deal, imports, exports. Exports from neutral or pro-Russian countries to Russia, including China, were down almost as much as 45%. Thank you, Marie, for that. So you've got exports from us to Russia down 53%. Exports from China and Russia's allies down 45%, almost the same thing. He thinks some of it may reflect fear that basically some countries, even China possibly, some countries are afraid of running afoul of Western sanctions. So they're just kind of cutting back the trade in general because they're not sure what's allowed, what isn't. He also thinks the financial sanctions, the sanctions we put on banks are having an impact because if you're doing international trade, I only had learned this once. I'm not a very big expert on international finance, but I know that international businesses have to use banks as intermediaries because basically you want to sort of guarantee that I'm paying you $1 million for something, but I want to guarantee I get the product, but you want to guarantee that when I'm getting the product, you get your $1 million. You use banks and other financial intermediaries because of sanctions, you can't. So Krugman thinks both of those are cutting back on the imports. Final line, Krugman says that Imports and not exports are the point of international trade. The gains from trade come from the useful goods and services other countries provide to your citizens. So I thought that was very, very interesting. I'm going to adjust the temperature in my apartment. As anybody who's a regular knows, I go back and forth from freezing to melting in here when the weather's hot. But I thought that was very interesting, because it is interesting that not even nobody, we do seem to hear a lot that supposedly the sanctions aren't working, and it seems they are. Russia is blocking health supplies in, oh, I'm sorry, wait, there was a question. I will jump to that here. Or not a question, I think Carrie was being funny, Carrie Brass guy. Russia believes that black magic is real, so perhaps Ukraine was conjuring McCain. I know, well, remember that one of the Russian stories out a couple of weeks ago was that they found evidence of black magic at the Ukrainian military headquarters. So that kind of goofy stuff, apparently they believe. So Russia has been blocking health supplies in Kherson. Kherson is a town and a region in southern Ukraine, right north of Crimea. Someday I will have a map behind me, but right north of Crimea. The Russians are occupying it. This is the place where they wanted to do a referendum and annex it, but then they stopped. Suddenly they stopped and said, no, nope, we're not doing the referendum. Because they realized, I think, A, nobody was going to vote for joining Russia, and B, anybody running the referendum would be probably killed by the Ukrainian partisans. Well, according to Victor Yashko, who's one of the Ukrainian experts on this, 235 medical institutions and 20 emergency teams are facing shortages of medicines and medical supplies, and in hospitals as well. The officials said that Russian occupiers are trying to force hospital staff to cooperate with them, and they're not giving them medical supplies until they do. So they're literally shutting down the healthcare system of the place and using it as blackmail. This was a nice one. I don't have a ton of news today. This is a good one. Ukraine launched a hotline for Russian soldiers to surrender. You can dial 2024 on your Ukrainian or your Russian cell phone. I thought that was kind of cool. You can do it with either one. And it'll hotline you into the Ukrainians who will help you defect. And they said they did this because they were getting a lot of intercepted chatter. Thank you, Mari, for that. I'm going to call you Mari. It's easier. For that, they were getting intercepted chatter from Russian troops talking to people back home and saying that they were being treated like slaves. They said, this is slavery, what they're doing to us, meaning their own commanders. They said that the treatment they were receiving from their military commanders was a human rights violation. And they were saying, how can we get out of here? And they didn't know what to do. They said, if we leave, they're going to shoot us. If we go to the Ukrainians, we're in trouble. And they said that, and that's why the Ukrainians went, ooh, let's put up something for the Russians to call and let them know if you come, and frankly, maybe they'll even give them money. They've done it before. I did do another story. I did a video about, it was a quick, actually, I'm going to see if I can find it. Hey, you know what? Let me do one other thing. I've got to pop an allergy pill because I can tell from the stupid thing I did this morning, I'm getting like an allergy in my mouth. Give me a second, guys. Don't worry. It's not an asthma allergy. It's like a sore kind of thing, but give me 1 second. Pop an allergy pill. We do these during my lives. And be right back. Okay, I'm back. And poor Sasha's wondering what the hell I'm doing. All right, dog. You know what happens if you know what happens if you can you stay? Can you stay? All right. Opa. All right, we're doing a quick hello. My poor dog, she heard me walking around and she assumed I was going out or going to play or something. So you do a quick hello from Sasha. I'm okay. It's a sore on my tongue I get from allergies, actually, which drives me crazy. I haven't had it in years, but as I'm talking to you, it's hurting. So I'm very okay. It's just like I said, it's this sore that drives me nuts. I have like food allergies. I have every allergy, you know. All right. Anyway, we were saying, so, oh yeah. So the gamers, I'm going to find this video. There was a really, a nice video or interview that CNN did with, gamers, people who play video games and stuff in Ukraine. And we heard about this before, but the interview is kind of funny with the guys that are doing the drones in Ukraine, and they literally are gamers. And I want to see if I can find the video because it's like 15 seconds, but I hate to say it's funny because it's a little weird, obviously. But thank you for that, Mari. Hold on, I'm trying to look for a video here really quick. 1 second here, guys. Oh, you want to go out again? All right, 1 second. 1 second. All right, go on. Man, it's 90 degrees, and she likes to keep going out there and like just sitting. Give me 1 second, guys. Oh, this is it? Okay. I'm going to try to play this. We'll see. Well, we can see how, let's see how this does. The screen's going to be too bad, but honestly, it's the conversation that's better here. That's the best part. All right. Oops.
It's funny to say, but most of these drone guys is just young nerds who used to play video games.
Right. Now the skill is
it's cool skill, and you just like next, and it's fun, kind of fun to be honest.
He's sitting there in the video. I'll show you guys what they see if I can show you the video, but.
It's funny to say, but most of these drone guys is just young nerds who used to play video games.
Right. Now the skill is
it's cool skill, and you just like next, and it's fun, kind of fun to be honest.
I mean, it's just crazy. Picture quality is tanked. Ruh-roh. I can always lower the. Anyway, you get the idea. It's very funny, but he says nerds. He goes, we're all just kind of a bunch of nerds. But then he sits there in the video and he goes, we just kind of sit there and we go with our video control. We go, pachoo, 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 pachoo. And then we go, pachoo, pachoo, pachoo. He goes, it's kind of fun, honestly. I mean, it's really, I didn't see the whole video. Somebody had only had like this 10-second clip or 15-second clip. It's really amazing. Oh, I did. Oh, that's funny. Yes, I control the weather. You can. Why? I'm assuming since. Oh, sorry, Sasha's looking. I assume since you're in Great Britain, you're getting rain. You want to come in? Come in, Sasha. It's too hot out there. Come on, it's too hot. I assume you're getting rain if you're out there. All right, she's still got water. I gave her a lot of water because I said it's 90 out today. But really crazy, really freaking crazy. Any case, but I mean, I don't want to say it made me laugh. Oh, we can talk about that stuff later. Behind my TV is baleen from the mouth of a whale, and it is something from Alaska natives. I did a lot of work in Alaska, and it is only, I'm sure Canadian, probably natives, or what do they call them? First Peoples, I believe you call them there, can probably sell it in Canada to Canadians, but in America, only the Americans can do it here. Only the American natives can do it here. Oh, did Yulia join us? I didn't see. Okay, I'm just looking back. Anyway, if she's here, hello. I did not see if she was here. I'm seeing people say hello, Yulia, so I'm going to guess she is. All right, guys. Oh, excellent. Okay, I was singing your praises earlier on. I told people they should follow you because you're my new favorite TikToker. The last little thing here, which was really kind of cute, I thought, was, and I'll just show you this picture. In Kyiv today, the Ukrainian capital, they put up a mural to Saint Javelin. Now, if any of you remember Saint Javelin is, I'm just trying to pull up my regular things here. Somebody created this design, and it's the Orthodox Christian, which Greeks, Ukrainians, Russians, Baltic states, Eastern Europeans, Bulgarians, etc. We all are sort of the Eastern Orthodox faith, but each of us have our own little version of it. And someone did a design of the Virgin Mary, and it's the Orthodox version of the Virgin Mary holding a javelin, which is the anti-tank weapon that the Ukrainians have been using to just destroy the Russian tanks. Well, anyway, they put up a huge mural today. I'm going to actually zoom out so you can see the building better. which is just wild. And there's guys, I don't know if he's in Canada or where, the guy who sort of came up with it, and they're selling all this different merchandise and everything else that's fabulous. Isn't that great? I just love it. I mean, it's almost sacrilegious, but Ukraine's a very religious country, so it's being taken in the right way, you know? Now, I was saying, people were asking Yulia's, I was saying Yulia on TikTok, if you're on TikTok, it's YEWLEEA. And Yulia, I don't know if you're also on YouTube or other Twitter or other places people can follow you if they're not TikTokers. If you are, let us know. Although I'm guessing it's probably linked from your profile. If people go there, you can always check out a TikTok profile, even if you're not on TikTok. It's just Google it and you can. If I see her, I'll make her a mod if she wants to be. I don't see her now. TikTok does not make this easy, folks. Let me tell you. She is on Twitter. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to guess it's the same name, YEWLEEA. So yeah, she's great. She's great. But yeah, if I see her, I'll make her a mod if she wants to be. If she wants to do whack-a-troll. But yes, I think it's Canadian. In any case, that's it for the news update today. We can jump right in with the questions. As I said, it wasn't that's about 20 minutes. It wasn't a Kostiantin. Good to meet you, Kostiantin. Ooh. Yulia Titut. Okay, Yulia, I think you're being asked questions in Ukrainian. Oh, she's doing a live now. Funny. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Oh, we don't want to interrupt her. In any case, guys, let's do our Q&A now. I will jump, as I said, back and forth from the Q&A in TikTok. Swipe left so I can see it. And your questions that you enter in the comments here. And of course, as I said, the super chat questions are the ones that I always promise I will get to, only because I can't get to all of them. Hold on. Oh, thank you for that, for my Galaxy University thing, Christy. Let me do a quick look at the Q&A here on TikTok. Who will they ban next? Ronald Reagan. That's very funny. Yeah, she's doing a live on TikTok. That's what folks on TikTok were saying as well. Yeah, thanks, Christy. Oh, that's interesting. Syndicate. Funny. Yeah, TikTok funny. Worried about Donbass? You know, I'm not convinced Donbass is to worry about right now. Donbass is eastern Ukraine. I mean, from everything we're hearing, the concern is the south, meaning the Russians are digging in. And that whole strip of land they've got now from the east, going south, all the way through Mariupol, all the way to Crimea, including Kherson, north of Crimea, that's the thing to worry about because they're digging in. You know, they're going to put mines. They're going to put the hedgehogs, the word you reminded me of yesterday, you know, stuff to anti-tank things, everything else. And it's going to be very difficult for the Ukrainians to, is that my Yulia? Oh, that is you. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna unplug my mic there. Hang on, Julia.
Notifications, and it was like 100 people followed me.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my god, that bots are attacking me again. And I'm like, oh, you're lying. Thank you.
No problem. Well, actually, I can't. Oh my God, I'm gonna mess this up. I wanted to put this so forget it. I've got you guys. I am on TikTok with Yulia, the woman I was telling you about, but you can at least hear her. I've got I'll put my mic. Oh, my mic's not even plugged in. It's confusing me because I've got my laptop. You may be able to hear her. Well, actually, tell people who you are really quick, because I was pitching your show, but who are you really quick, just to tell people what is it you cover, what do you do?
Hi, so I'm Yulia. I was born and raised in Lviv, Ukraine. I lived there until I was 17 years old, and then I moved here for boarding school, college, and then life happened. I have a husband who's American.
Oh, nice.
And so
you couldn't marry a boy from back. You couldn't find a good boy from back home.
I mean,
did you not get that from? You must have gotten that.
Like the one Ukrainian family that did not ship me to the United States, saying, "Please find a good."
Really?
Ukrainian boy.
Oh my God.
My dad, in fact. When he got married to my mom, Ukraine was it was very, very, very recently after the Soviet Union, and my dad was saying, don't marry a Ukrainian boy. I am one. I know how to like.
See, for Greeks, yeah, it's the opposite for Greeks.
Challenge accepted.
It's the opposite for Greeks. Like, we had one of my cousins. I mean, to tell you guys. One of my cousins marries this American girl, Americanida, and she's Irish, just to add to it. So red hair, the whole deal. And the generation above us, everybody married Greeks. So like our generation was the beginning. Well, she's in the other room with my, she's in the room with us. And my mom and all the aunts, not the old ladies, but 60, 70-year-olds are in the other room. And my cousin and I walk over and we hear one of the ladies say to the other, she's such a nice girl. It's just such a pity she isn't Greek. And and they had just gotten married and she's in the other room. And we were like, will you shut up? What are you thinking? But they were like, and of course to them, they said, what? We said she was nice? I'm like, no. Anyway, it made me laugh. But no, so do you, what have you, I looked at your videos this morning. I'm sure it's the same, but I was going to ask, like, with what you cover and stuff, are you doing a lot about the war? Are you doing some about the war? Like, what are you sort of covering with what you do on TikTok or elsewhere?
Basically, what I normally do is I go live every day at 9:30 p.m. EST.
Okay.
And I cover the news daily. But then I also do a lot of history and culture of Ukraine because I basically went to school in Ukraine, like my elementary, middle, and high school. And I went to a history intensive school.
Oh, nice.
And we had 6 hours of Ukrainian and international history weekly. Right. And then get all of the homework on top of that, and it was basically consuming a lot of my life. And then I was when am I ever going to use knowledge? And then,
oh no, but that's great. So now you can update people on what's. Well, I was telling people, like, she did maybe I didn't tell you, but she did a wonderful explainer on the Azov battalion, who was a good maybe 1,000 of the fighters that were in the steel plant, and the talk of them is they're Yahtzees. We try to use that other word, the NZ word, and I had heard that as well, but I also heard it changed, like they aren't anymore. And she did a wonderful explainer that explained, they were real trouble. And in 2014 or so, the government wanted to join them into the main military. And they said, you can no longer be far-right fanatics. Get rid of your leadership, get rid of the bad guys. And they did. So it's this. And I was like, I didn't know that, but it was a nice it was relevant.
There is also, actually, there is a lot more to it, but there are, before the war, there were a lot of Azov guys who were imprisoned for the way that they treated Russian soldiers, actually, because Ukraine is Ukraine is a progressive country, and even if you're in the military and you're fighting, if you're fighting against the enemy, like, you're still responsible for war crimes. So when Azov Battalion came in at first, and they were kind of these, like, self-governed guys, they were like torturing a lot of the prisoners that they would get from Donetsk and torturing them in a way that was like crazy.
Right. There you are. You back?
I'm getting like 15 phone calls for something.
Oh, that's funny. That's right.
But and they're all telemarketers. Love them.
Right.
But basically, they were like the Ukrainian government actually held them responsible and accountable because they were like, you can't do that. You can't just like come in and kind of like do this chaos and just do whatever you want and torture these people. Like, this is not the point. The point is to like repel them back to where they came from, not to like kind of fulfill your Call of Duty fantasies. Right. So a lot of them were imprisoned and. That's something that people don't talk about. They keep saying that, like, Azov runs around Ukraine just doing whatever they want. Like, no, they don't. They're held accountable for a lot of their actions. Right. So it's kind of that thing. Right. But speaking of my background, that brings me to the point. Do you mind if I talk a little bit about the historian that I was telling you about? Oh, of course. Yeah. I told people we talked about coming on, but I didn't want to say what it was because I wasn't sure if you had, told people what your thing was going to be. So basically, the historian that I'm bringing on is she's a very accredited Ukrainian historian. She is my high school history teacher. Oh, wow. But she's, so basically her whole deal is that she's like one of the best historians in Ukraine. She has health issues, so she chose to, instead of working for a prestigious university in Ukraine, which she's gotten so many times, so many offers, and it's been like everybody and their mother tried to poach her. Thank you. But she's just like, my high school gave her a lot of open scheduling, and everybody was kind of like revolving around her because she was a big deal, and it was a history intensive high school, and so she stayed there. But she's a very accredited, decorated Ukrainian historian. She's very smart. She's amazing. She's never taught us through like books. The way that we learned history from her was like, look, this is what happened. this is what the world knows history as. This is proof as to why this happened the other way and who meddled with it and what happened when, right? So it's very much like all sides of the story. And I contacted her 2 weeks ago asking if she would mind doing a panel with me talking about Ukrainian history, especially about like the topics that people are either confused about or want to know more about, or haven't heard about, or just kind of like, you know, explaining everything, because when else are we going to get a chance from like a Ukrainian historian talking live and
well, do you want to ask people what she and I were talking offline. She was wondering, you guys, my TikTok followers and my YouTube, Facebook, everybody else followers, what kind of things would you be interested in hearing about from a Ukrainian historian? She was just looking for like those that she could also kind of pass along in preparation for the panel thing we're going to do. And I will. Yeah,
because the panel basically, the way that she, I asked her how she would want to organize it, obviously, and she said that her practice shows her that people do not retain information after an hour as well as they retain it within the hour.
Yeah.
So she said that she would like to do an hour panel and she'd like to prepare for it so she could like put as much information in it as possible and know what people are actually interested in instead of like winging it on the go. And she will do a 30-minute Q&A session afterwards.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, I mean, people write in if you can write. Now, Yulia, you can see the comments on TikTok, right?
I can see the comments on my side of TikTok, not yours.
Oh, funny. Okay, well then I'm going to look. All right, if you guys want to maybe just take a minute. What's the name of the? Oh, my Ukrainians are asking what's the name of the historian.
Her name is Natalia
Marco or Markov? Okay, Natalia Markov.
Marco, like Marco, like.
Oh, Marco without a V or anything?
like an Italian boy name.
Oh, Natalia Marco. Okay, that's funny. Okay. Since the war began, learned a lot about Ukraine. Question for the panel: what history gets manipulated the most to disparage Ukraine? That's interesting.
I would also say a good way to do this would probably be to submit these questions that your followers have into your and mine Q&A, so we can have them on, recorded somewhere. What's the best?
But I'm trying to think. What's the best? Oh, in the Q&A, but like on TikTok, for example, how do we copy the Q&A questions? Do they remain after?
Yeah. They remain, no, but not like the live Q&A, your profile Q&A. You know, you have like a Q&A.
Okay. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, that's true, actually. People could, that's a good idea, actually. Yeah, for the TikTokers, see, now they're asking the questions. So she was saying you can go to my profile and you'll see the thing that says Q&A. Or actually, why don't you go to your profile? Makes more sense.
Yeah, or both. I mean, whichever is more convenient for them.
But when you go to our... Either of our profiles on TikTok, there's a Q&A thing. It literally says Q&A at the top. Click it, and it lets you submit questions to us. Submit them, and just ask the questions. I mean, what you'd want, and I can always look here and see. I can sort of scroll. Well, we can see. We'll figure a way of doing this. This doesn't work on Facebook. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think. Well, we'll figure out how to do it for the rest of you guys. I don't even know what the best. Maybe give you. You know what? For the rest of you. I could give you my email. It's probably easier. I don't know what else. I mean, you've got my email anyway. It's aravosis@gmail. But it might be the easiest way just to send your question. I don't know what's the.
You also save your lives, right? And
yeah,
like
they're there.
You post them. So people can just also comment under your YouTube live.
They can. I mean, they can. We go for like an hour and a half though, so it's not fun to go back and find them.
That's true.
I would give that job to you, but it's just.
I mean, hey, I can go and like.
Well, you know what? We were half an hour in when you came on. So if you want to go to about 40, I can give you the link to it. Go about 40 minutes in, and that's where we're discussing it. So if people, okay, we'll do it just that, folks. If you've got questions that you think might be interesting to ask this historian of Ukraine, enter them right now. And that way Yulia can just look at the chat on YouTube. Same thing for Facebook, because all the questions come together here. Well, that's not true. That's not true. It's only for YouTube. Yeah, I'm using that program I told you, which brings all the questions to me, but it doesn't mingle them amongst each other.
Yeah, so, that's what I've heard. I've been looking into streaming softwares because I've also been wanting to do lives on both YouTube and TikTok combined.
Yep.
Because I want to do a podcast on which
Nice.
I'm going to talk to you about a little later.
Yep.
But it's basically the first rendition of the podcast is basically this
Right.
this panel with the Ukrainian historian, because that's the kind of stuff I want to do on YouTube.
Right.
Because it's like kind of allows for longer videos and stuff like that, and you can save them and people can come back and rewatch them.
Right.
And I think it's very important to be able to speak to Ukrainian historians and
Right.
people that know what they're talking about
Right.
in that context, especially those who can answer very complicated questions
Yeah.
without having to do like a ton of research. But I was going to say that the questions that my audience was very interested in were the questions of history of Crimea,
Yep.
like how Crimea
Yep.
came to be Ukrainian. Then a lot about Kyiv and Rus.
About what?
Kyiv Rus.
Yeah,
Kyiv and
what is that? I thought I saw that the other day, and I didn't know what it was, though.
So Kyiv and Rus is like basically Ukraine in the Middle Ages, and
Okay.
Russia has been saying that they are the direct descendant
Okay.
of Kyiv and Rus history, and they stole that from
Because that
Ukraine.
just that literally today I saw something, because the Russians have changed it now just to Rus or something, and I didn't know what it meant, but I saw something today on that.
So they kind of like, because, well, here's the thing, like Ekaterina II, so Catherine II,
Right.
she rewrote history in order to make it look like Russia stems from Kyiv Rus, because they stemmed from, at that point, a mix of Finnish tribes and tribes around
Okay.
the area. And they had no like profound history at that time because they were just tribes. And
Right.
so the empress was like, well, I'm the head of the Russian Empire, and this
Right.
doesn't like really work for me because
Right.
I want to make trades and deals with all of these like bigger empires,
Right.
and I have nothing to show for myself, right? And so she was like, well, what can I do in order to make it look like we're more legit than we are?
Right.
And she was like, oh, wait, we have a neighbor, Kyiv and Rus over here. We're just going to steal their history.
Oh,
she
and
went
and just to
like,
tell people, I'm sorry, but it's like Kiev of Rus or something.
Kyiv.
Oh, Kyiv.
Kyiv, Rus, R-U-S.
And what does the Kriv come from?
So, no, so it's Kyiv and then A-N, so it's like the Rus of Kyiv, so the Rus around Kyiv. And the reason, so basically, like the people who lived in Kyiv Rus were.
What is
all
Kriv? I'm
Rusyny.
sorry. What is Kriv is what I'm asking you. What is
No,
Kriv?
Kyiv, like the capital.
Oh,
It's just
Kyiv.
that
Oh,
the
I'm sorry.
Ukrainians-
Is that the way you pronounce it in Ukrainian?
Yeah,
But you say like, are you doing a guttural or what are you doing?
Kyiv.
Kriv. Oh, you're saying Kriv. I did not know that. I kept thinking you were saying Kriv with a R.
Kyiv.
You guys say Kriv? Oh, I can't do that.
Kyiv.
I've been trying to say Kyiv for people, and everyone says it's saying it wrong. But if I go Kriv, I'm going to sound like I'm just being phony. Kriv, okay.
Yeah, that's like another painful topic for Ukrainians because up until recently, all of the history books and textbooks called it Kiev.
We did
and
too.
That's the Russian way of
We
saying
did too,
it. And
yeah.
we were like, no, it's
Yeah.
Ukraine. Like, you gotta say it the way
Yeah.
Ukrainians say it.
No,
But
this is.
basically, in
Yeah.
short,
Go on. No, go on.
it's like the people who lived in Kyiv and Rus at that point were Rusyny, and Russia, until they renamed themselves, were Moscovia. And
Okay.
it was like Muscovites.
Right.
And the reason why they're Russians and why Ukrainians are saying like, "Hey, you're Moscovians," is because this name is stolen from Kyiv and Rus, and they made it Russians in order for it to be more justifiable that they're the descendants of Kyiv,
Right.
of Kyiv and Rus. And the
Right.
funny thing is that like they were nowhere territorially there. Like customs were not there.
Right.
Also, just in fact, it's just like a simple joke that I like to say to prove to people that Kyiv Rus had nothing to do with Russia. They had a governance and a constitution, and it revolved around bravery, defense, and love for their nation.
Okay.
And I'm just like, sounds nothing like Russia, does it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, fair enough. I was going to say, that sounds nice.
Yeah, but super not Russian.
Let me ask you one thing. I mean, and we can, well, I guess we're having her on now anyway, but and some Ukrainians bristle at this, but I think a lot of us initially with the war got the message that the Ukrainians and the Russians did feel like brothers or cousins at least or whatever. And then we heard from the Ukrainians, well, because the whole idea of they would be welcomed with open arms. But let me just say this though. But when my friend Vlad, for example, who I've told you about, and you guys have met Vlad, my friend who's from Kharkiv, he said that most of his friends did not think the Russians were invading because they just didn't think they would do that to them. So there was some kind of a simpatico or something. What's the deal there?
So there is a difference between, in that kind of regard, there is a difference between Western Ukraine and Eastern Ukraine.
Okay.
So, and I don't mean like mentality-wise or anything. No, we're all Ukrainians. We're all equally as Ukrainian. This is not what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I just want to put it forth
I understand.
I'm a Western Ukrainian, and I feel like anytime I say something like that,
Vlad told me you guys talk funny, so it's okay. He goes, oh my God, the language out here, they speak like there's words from Romanian, there's words from Slovakian, there are all these different words. And the best part, his 3-year-old daughter is picking up Western Ukrainian and she's using words that Vlad and his wife don't know, which is fabulous. But
it's really funny because I think that there is this impression with Eastern Ukrainians that like Western Ukrainians consider themselves like better than, because they're like the proper Ukrainians speaking Ukrainians, and I fully understand that stereotype, but I never want to come off that way.
Right.
So I'm just like,
no. Don't worry. You're fine here.
But basically what I was trying to say is that like because Western Ukraine is so far away from Russia, and because most of the independence movements were in Western Ukraine, well, first off, it was hard to reach, and we were also under Poland and an Austrian-Hungarian Empire, and we're influenced by that more than we were influenced by Russia.
Right.
Like all of the liberation of Ukraine movements originated in Western Ukraine.
Okay.
Right. So it's like Russia was able to impose Russian, their like customs, their like propaganda and all that stuff on Eastern Ukraine more than they were able to do that with Western Ukraine.
Okay.
Because first of all, like in Eastern Ukraine, because of the Soviet times and because of that, a lot of people speak Russian, right?
Right.
So a lot of people watch Russian news, and so it's easier to integrate the whole brotherhood idea.
But was there more of a feeling of brotherhood of the Eastern Ukraine and the Russians then?
Yes, because, but it wasn't even like anything done on practice, right? It was just more of like years and years and years of Russian propaganda.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like, nobody was like, oh, Russia is amazing, but they were like, yeah, no, Russians are our neighbors, like they love us, we love them, like we've been like in this together for a while. We're all like Slavic people, right?
Okay.
But with the Western Ukraine, it's a little different because, well, first of all, because all of the liberation movements originated in the Western Ukraine, a lot of our people there have suffered a lot of like consequences from the Russians during like Stalinism, during Imperial Russia and stuff like that. Like it was easier to impose Russian language onto the East because territorial proximity, right? Ukrainians in the West never gave up Ukrainian, and so like during the Soviet time when it was like basically illegal to say you're Ukrainian or identify with Ukrainian symbolic or be a proud Ukrainian, or at some point even speak Ukrainian, the West still was like, no, we're going to keep speaking Ukrainian. We're going to have resistance marches. We're going to have like underground armies. We're going to have partisan movements. So like there were a lot of us sent to, like there were a lot of Ukrainians in general sent to Siberia, but as in like because the propaganda was so much easier to kind of like put into this Russian speaking bubble, it was much more prominent in the East. People in the West always understood that Russia is not a friend, Russia is not a brother, Russia is an oppressor. And during the Soviet time, during Imperial Russia, during even before that, they've always like abused us,
Wait, but let me ask you this though: why? From our perspective, and again, Zelensky could have been, I mean, not that in Zelensky's mind, but I'm saying as a Ukrainian from, Kyiv at least, he was very, I don't want to say critical, but he was kind of pissed off at Biden for constantly saying, this is it, 3 to 5 days away, they're invading. And was the impression more in Western Ukraine that the Russians were coming? Because even Zelensky was like, they're not coming. What was, or did he have to say that?
Zelensky actually said that he knew that they would come, but he wanted to keep the people calm.
That's what I was wondering. Okay.
There is nothing worse than creating panic. Before anything happened, right? And so he was like, I didn't exclude that possibility. And you can see that he was prepared and he knew because of how much he trained the army in the last 3 years, Because like one of the reasons why Ukrainians were so pissed off at Zelensky is because he did not like solve corruption overnight, and because he didn't end the conflict in Donbass overnight, and it also looked like he was really not doing anything for it. But behind the scenes, he was training our army knowing that this might happen, you know? So it's like he was kind of preparing really hard, and he did, like, I don't know, I didn't want to believe that this was possible, right? And anytime I talked to my dad, he was like, Yulia, I don't know. I don't know. It's pretty possible. Like, it's pretty possible. So, like, and everybody was in disbelief, and everybody was in shock, rather, because we felt like it's 2022, and if Russia actually physically invaded us like that, people would, like, not let it happen, right? And then they just came in, and the bombs started flying and stuff like that, and we were like, wait a second, what? Because we didn't want to believe that till the last minute. We just thought that Putin is like always, as always, you know, just kind of like threatening. But to say that Ukrainians were completely like, oh my gosh, we never thought that this would happen. Depends, because we did, like, per se, based on history alone, a lot of people in my region were like, yeah, one day this is gonna come.
Oh, trust me.
Especially
I think. Well, I shouldn't say that, because even here, I remember my cousin calling me, and mind you, it's a 50-50 chance, so not like we're brilliant because we got it right. But I remember a cousin of mine who's very smart up on these things, but called me like 3 weeks before, and he's like, you know, do you really think he's going in? And I was like, yeah, there's no, I mean, you know, but a lot of American experts did not think Putin was going in either. They thought he was just going to be bluffing or whatever it was, or extorting, or so. I mean, you know, you wouldn't have been. That's okay. You're welcome to New York, folks. The exciting.
Yeah, there is more New York than like an ambulance and police cars just passing by your window every 5 minutes. But what I was gonna say is, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, about the invasion. You know, it was interesting because a lot of people were drawing.
It's the Borg thing. That's my favorite. Yeah, go on.
A lot of my favorite is like the paper crane, and also they have like these hot air balloon things, and I have a tattoo of a hot air balloon.
Oh, cool.
My aunt, who is an illustrator, she drew it.
Nice.
So it's like those are two of my favorites. But what I was gonna say is, what was I gonna say? The invasion. Yeah. So people were drawing a lot of parallels between Taiwan and China. Right.
Oh yes.
Which, like, there are a lot of parallels, but people were, like, kind of thinking also that Putin is just, like, threatening, right? At some point, I was like, well, I mean, I don't know. It was kind of like a 50-50. And then I remember that for a very long time, like a month or two before the war started, I had a lot of my American friends, like, message me quite often, right? And be like, hey, so how's your family? Is everything okay? Is everything okay, right? Do you think the war is going to start? And it's like, I don't know what to tell you, you know? Like, I don't know if the war is going to start. And I've told this to my audience, like a couple of times, right? But the day that it happened, I just remember, first of all, I woke up on the 23rd and I had COVID. For the first time in 2.5 years, I tested positive for COVID. And I was like, amazing. And then I was going to bed, and as I said, like, my friends before this were texting me a lot, asking whether like I think this is going to happen or not. And then I started getting, I think I got about 20 messages from different people, and they were like, hey, are you okay? Are you okay? Is your family okay? Is your family okay? And I'm just like, why right now?
Wait, were you in New York, or were you visiting back home?
I was in New York.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like, why so many people asking me this, like, this moment, you know? And then 2 seconds later, I get a phone call from my father, and it's like, and it's early morning in Ukraine. Well, 4 a.m. And it was like 10 here or something like that. And my dad is not a person to panic at all. He's a very like leveled person, and he also really protects my feelings because I'm 12 in his mind always. So he would never like try to make me worry. And I remember picking up the phone and my dad just going, Yulia, the war started. I'm sorry. I need to go. I just want to let you know I'm okay. I don't know what I'm doing right now, but I'm running against time. I need to figure out what to do.
But was he in the West at least?
Yeah.
Okay, that's better at least.
But I think there were missile strikes that were repelled because he's heard like explosions and stuff like that. And he was like panicked. Extremely panicked. And then the next thing I remember saying is, I remember my dad has Karta Polaka, which is like a Polish residency.
Okay.
And I was like, Dad, please jump in the car and please get the F out of there.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, please don't stay there. My dad is 54, so he's under 60, so he's of the draft age.
Right.
And I was like, please leave. And my dad, the one thing that really struck me in terms of like how Ukrainians were prepared in a way, right, is my dad said, Yulia, if I leave my country right now, how am I going to look at myself in the mirror? This is going to happen at some point. Yeah. And I have to stay here and make sure it doesn't ever again. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, you know, I love my dad. I'm very worried about my dad, but also I fully understand that. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Yeah. And at that time, people did not know that Western Ukraine was safer because the Russians were coming down through Belarus, which is north of Western. I sort of try to give my geography lessons to folks, but north of Western Ukraine, and they could have just come straight down and tried to lop off, you know, or stuff. I'm surprised they didn't, frankly. I was always saying they should have come down and cut off the Polish border at least. Well, but the thing is, so at first they thought it was going to take like a day, right? Right. And the thing is that they couldn't justify to the Russian people saving Russian speakers in Lviv, because there are barely any, right? It's a super Ukrainian speaking region, so there would be kind of like there was no justification of saving the Russian speaking population because although we're all Yahtzees in our region, you know, which this as a person, like because your audience doesn't know me, but my family is bilingual Ukrainian, as in like my mom is Russian speaking and her parents are from Russia. Oh, interesting. My grandma and grandpa came. My grandfather was born in Moscow and he moved to Ukraine at age like 5 or 6. Right. And my grandmother was born in basically Siberia. Right. Because her father was Jewish Ukrainian and he was sent to Siberia as part of the repression. Right. So she was born there. Right. And she moved to Ukraine at age like 5 as well, but 10 years later. Right. But my family is super Russian speaking, like on my mom's side. And my dad's side is Ukrainian speaking. So for anybody who still believes there are Western Yahtzees who destroy the Russian population, I don't know, my parents are fine. But so I speak both languages, and I've always spoke both languages in my family. And so, but it's rare, you know, it's like really rare in my region for people to speak Russian fluently. Like they understand it. Right. They speak it, but it's usually like, you know, I learned like the Pushkin kind of Russian, as in like it's very proper Russian. Yeah. And Ukrainians in the West usually like speak Russian, but it's not necessarily. It's Surzhyk. It's like Ukrainian Russian. And so there are not that many Russian speaking families, and I think in my class of like 25, 2 people were speaking Russian at home. Well, you know, if I can just to tell people really quick, one interesting thing was my friend Vlad, who's from Kharkiv. We had him on. He's the only other guest I've had on. We hadn't I hadn't done this much, so I wasn't sure how to do it. But Vlad was telling us that he spoke Russian at home until the age of 10, and he only started learning Ukrainian at 10 because apparently the high school exams are in Ukrainian or something like that. And he had to learn it for school, but until the age of 10, he didn't even know Ukrainian. I mean, like total difference. Yeah. And I'm guessing he's 30, so this was probably the year 2000 or so, you know? Yeah, one of the other things about like Eastern Ukraine is that, you know, how people were like, oh my gosh, Russian speakers are being prosecuted or like, you know, discriminated against. Like, no, if you went to Eastern Ukraine before this conflict, Russia has, since the Soviet Union, imposed this view that Ukrainian is a language of Hicks. Oh, yeah. And that speaking Russian is going to get to places. And so the only language that has ever been discriminated against in my country was Ukrainian. Oh, wait. You know what? Stop a second. Tell people what we're talking about. What was the Russian justification for going into Eastern Ukraine? Because they may not know, some of them. You were alluding to it, but they may not know what it is. Yeah. Yeah, so basically, like they were saying, their justification for going into Eastern Ukraine was that there are Russian speakers there, and that Ukraine is forbidding Russian language, and that Ukrainian Yahtzees and like nationalists and stuff like that are attacking Russian-speaking population. They're not allowed to speak Russian. Russian is being discriminated against, and stuff like that. And basically, and basically that like yes, Ukraine is discriminating against like everything Russian and like hates on everything Russian. Basically, like quote unquote like racism, which can't even be called that because or like I guess like xenophobia against like our Russian brother.
Russophobia, you know the word.
Yeah. Oh my God,
I know. I hate that word. I know.
If I had $1 for every Russian in my comments.
Yeah.
But
sorry, but somebody. I just only because occasionally I like to read the comments. So Alex Patri is saying, "I'm from Kalush." Coincidentally, Ivano-Frankivsk or whatever. Everybody speaks Ukrainian, but everyone knows how to speak Russian. Yeah,
exactly. But to say that, so like basically, Russian justification to invade was to protect Russian speakers,
right?
And it's kind of funny because Russian speakers were never not protected.
Right.
Soviet Union has like zombified people so much into thinking that you could never go places if you spoke Ukrainian. That everybody was like most people knew how to speak Russian.
Right.
And I asked my mom recently actually why she felt the need to teach me how to speak Russian because both my grandparents speak Ukrainian fluently and so does she.
Right.
And she was like, well, you know, I wanted you to have opportunities outside of Lviv. Because I thought if you were going to go to college in Lviv or like somewhere else, like you have to speak Russian, otherwise you're not gonna get anywhere, you know.
That's funny.
And I was like,
wow, how about English, Ma?
Yeah, it's like so sad, you know.
That's interesting.
But another thing is, I have two stories that I like to tell people when they tell me that Russian speakers were discriminated against. One is from like late 90s. Me and my other grandma, my dad's mom, who was like this very sweet, angelic Ukrainian lady, goes to church every Sunday. You know, prays for me every Sunday.
Right. Yeah,
so
of course.
And she basically, her and I went to Kyiv when I was like 5 or something like that, and we wanted to buy Kyiv tort, which is like this traditional cake from Kyiv. Okay. And we went into a store in the capital of Ukraine, and my grandmother, who, frankly, she doesn't speak Russian much, came in and asked the sales associate, like, "Hey, I would like to buy a Kyiv tort."
In
the
Ukrainian?
sales associate looks at her, and she, in Kyiv, and she was saying it in Ukrainian.
Yeah.
The sales associate turns to her, and she's like, I'm in Russian. I'm sorry. I don't know what Kyiv tort is, but we have Kyiv torts here.
Ooh.
So it was like one of those things where she was like, oh, you got to speak Russian to us, right?
Ooh.
And then when I was 13, my dad and I went to visit Zaporizhia.
Right.
And so Zaporizhia, like the eastern Ukraine, and
where one of the nuclear plants is that the Russians have occupied.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So and where the Zaporizhia siege, like the Cossack siege, is located as well. Fortitsa Island.
Okay.
This is where the Cossacks originated from, like the biggest concentration.
Did not know. Okay.
And so basically, like I went there and I was like kind of walking around the city, and I don't know, it was really hot, and I went to like buy a couple of bottles of water. It was like 45 degrees Celsius or something stupid like that. I've never felt heat like that in my life. And it's not a very green city. It's a very industrial city, so I was suffocating. But so I went to buy like some water, and I come into the shop, and I am talking to this lady who's the sales associate in Ukrainian, right? And she responds to me, and says like, oh, I don't speak that language. If you want to buy something, speak Russian. And I was literally like, that language.
How long ago what year was this? What year was this?
It was in Zaporizhia. It was a sale. It was like a store.
No, what year? I'm sorry. When was this?
Oh, what year? That was, I was like 13. I'm turning 28 years, so 15 years ago.
Oh, that's not that long. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. You see, but we don't hear about that. You don't hear that there was actually discrimination by the Russians against the Ukrainians. Wow.
Yeah, always. Oh my gosh, always. Also, like Russian people look down on us consistently.
Yeah. Somebody just said it's like French and English in Canada. It's like French and somebody just said it's like French and English in Canada, and it did make me think of that, of the rivalry there, because from talking to both sides,
rivalry, but there was never oppression, which like in Ukraine there was gigantic oppression, you know. So it was so it's a lot. There is a lot of layers to it. It's like I've heard
that's
so
interesting.
many times from people who are like, well, it's the Russian government. I don't see. Or how did they phrase it? That was like so funny to me linguistically. But they were like, I don't recall the Russian population directly discriminating Ukrainian population. And I'm like, what you're doing right now is as a like it's the same as you as a white person would say, I don't recall racism being a big thing in America while you can't experience it, right? So it's like, of course you don't recall discrimination of Ukrainians by Russians because you're not freaking Ukrainian.
Right, exactly.
The amount of time
you were fine.
I was called Kaflushka as like a joke by, I don't know, like Russian friends because they thought it's funny, and Kaflushka is like it's like saying an N-word. To a Ukrainian.
Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Kafol. Kafol is like a derogatory word for Ukrainian from a Russian.
Okay.
So it's like, jokingly calling me Kaflushka as like my friend is not funny.
Right.
And I've dealt with that my whole life.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah. No, that's interesting. Wow. I didn't prepare anything to ask you, obviously. So I'm not sure, but I mean, I'm glad you came by. This is funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I also do have to run because I'm going to a crawfish boil today.
Oh, that's right. You said that. A crawfish boil. How American.
I've been to them in the South, and I can't imagine what a Connecticut crawfish boil looks like, but I'm excited.
The only thing that I don't like, I haven't had that, but I've had the Maryland crabs, which I'm guessing is some of they're small, unless they're bigger, but if you've got to eat like 20 of them, good luck. Because Maryland crabs, you've got like a pile of 20 of them you've got to pull apart. And it so grossed me out. And hopefully you get bigger crawfish.
Yeah, I hope so too. Well, I'm kind of excited. I haven't been outside of New York City in a couple of months, and it kind of feels like it's going to be a nice time to be able to sort of.
Well, hopefully nice weather. If you're not hopefully nice weather if you're not as hot as it is as here, but.
Oh, it is. It's
sorry.
It's all.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Well, anyway, this is great. We will let folks know when we're doing when we're going to have the historian. I mean, and again, it may not even be relevant for me to be on that panel. Let's see, because I am not a historian, obviously. But if it's relevant, I'm happy to be on. But we can talk about that.
Well, I feel like it'd be a good idea. Also because I feel like the more people see it, the better it is. Because it's like it's a very unique opportunity, I think, and I think it's important for people to hear from Ukrainian historians, especially.
I always show people my dog is standing at the door looking at me. So all right. If we can keep talking, but I've got to do a quick little. All right, go.
But
Well,
I have a little gremlin who does the same thing.
Well, I can hear your dog in the background. I hear the collar. Yeah. So she likes the heat, so she goes out for 15 minutes, and I'm always looking at her, going like, "Okay, are you sure? It's 90 out." This is enough already.
Yeah, my dog does not like heat. She doesn't like rain. Anytime I try to drag her out to walk in the rain, she's like, "Excuse you."
Oh yeah, no, that and snow, forget it. Yeah, exactly. Snow too.
I have a toddler of a dog.
That's cute. Anyway, this is great. Thank you. That's right. Tell people where to find you on all the different medium, because also, like I said, go on.
I have a Twitter. I have an Instagram, I have a TikTok, and I have a YouTube. And all of them are literally the same thing. It's like if you were trying to find me anywhere, it's all just Yulia. And you said it's YEWLEEA? Yeah. Okay, perfect. All right. This is great. I have no idea how to hang up, but I'm guessing you do. I'll hang up. All right. This is great. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye. That's funny. Well, that was funny. All right, hold on a second. Let me adjust my computer as I'm talking to you all. I hope we didn't lose half the YouTube people. That was unexpected, but I'm glad to have talked to her. Okay. Was there a missed question here, Stu? All right. Well, that was kind of fun. Well, I saw the incoming request, and up until now, the incoming requests on my TikTok have always been from trolls. So I've always learned to go, oh God, here we go again, with somebody being annoying. That was very funny. Well, she said apparently a bunch of you subscribed. So she saw it and went, what is all this coming from? Hold on. I apparently missed a question. Too large to copy. Hang on. By Harvey and Elizabeth. Let me scroll up. Yeah, I didn't see any of that coming in. Wait, that's not true. Hold on. Oh, I've got Harvey. Elizabeth's, I didn't see a question. Elizabeth, did you follow up with a question? It came up just as a donation, but I was suspicious that there was a question missing. Let me look here.
Oops. And all of you guys were chatting. All right. If I can't find Elizabeth's question, because there wasn't a question, it was just a donation. Worst comes to worst, Elizabeth, just enter a regular question. I mean, enter your question as just a regular unpaid question at the bottom, because I am not finding anything. And I did see Harvey's that I had saved. Harvey says the British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss has stated that it's Britain's duty to arm Eastern Europe to stop Putin even breathing in their direction, as the Brits are considering sending considerable arms to Moldova. That's interesting. Her name is Julia, so it's Yulia, is in Ukrainian, which is why she writes it Weyleea. Wow. Now, I'm curious, what is the British history with Moldova? Because Moldova doesn't have much of a military, so I would be afraid that there wouldn't be much of an ability to actually, defend them, And Syndicate, I see you posting the question, so I'll grab that in a sec. Interesting. Yeah. No, God bless the Brits. I will tell you. And I don't know if Boris Johnson's doing this to save his career or what, and I don't really care. I always tell people in politics, to a large degree, I don't care what your motivations are. If you're doing the right thing, that's what I want. And people who say, because I've seen too many politicians where people say, I know they're really bad. This was George Bush, the second George Bush. There were gay Republicans who would say, I know he's really bad on our issues, but we met with him privately and he's with us. He really supports us. He just can't do it publicly. And I'm like, he's the president of the United States. I don't care what he says privately. I want to know what he's going to do publicly. It doesn't benefit anybody if privately he's for your civil rights, but publicly he wants to deny them. I'm not saying this is a Bush thing, but I mean, there's literally people who think, what is said privately is enough. And in this case, I don't care what Boris Johnson's motivations are. I care that Boris Johnson has been amazing and his entire government has been amazing on this stuff. So very interesting about Moldova. Interesting. Nathan's weighing in. Harvey, I can see Harvey and Nathan having a fight here. No, says the pro-Russians outnumber the Moldovan military. It sounds like it would start a civil war that could collapse Moldova. I was going to say the Moldovan military is it a couple thousand men? I thought I read. It's not much. So I'm not sure how that would work. Let me see here. Elizabeth's question. So Syndicate had copied Elizabeth's question. German. I'm thinking these are people Elizabeth knows. I'm like, Hair and Ita, Germany and Italy are paying for Russian energy. Oh, I know about this. Yeah, through a non-sanctioned bank that is transferring payment to rubles, so they technically aren't violating sanctions. Yes, I know about that. Do you think that loophole was intentional? I mean, I see what you're saying. What will other countries do to pressure them to stop? That's an interesting question. The question is, and this has been happening for a while. I'm sorry. Sorry. Come on in, dog. Come on in. There you go. Oop, 1 second here. Okay, I just want to make sure she still had water because it's 90 degrees out and she was sitting in the sun. That's an interesting question, was whether that was sort of built into the plan, knowing when they banned the Russian payments or whatever it was, they knew that people could go and basically they're using this bank as an intermediary, and they pay the bank, and then the bank converts it to rubles and pays Russia, so it still has the same effect of buying the rubles. Because I've known about this story for a month, I'm going to say that it was intentional, because otherwise it would have been fixed by now. Had they said, oh my God, that's terrible, Europe would have fixed it, or whoever, and they haven't fixed it. So it's clearly intentional. It was meant to give them an out, which is really kind of annoying, because it's one of those things that all of our governments do where I feel like they're tricking us. Like, if they knew they were going to do that, then don't pretend you were going to ban the transaction. If you knew you were going to let them go, and once you found out they were doing it, you didn't try to stop it, right? So yeah, I'm with you. Glad we found that. I'm not seeing you say I missed anybody else, which is good. Let me pull up another Q&A here. It's already 20 after, but let's do a few more questions since I was talking to Julia for so long. I might as well do a few of these. I have not been following the Johnny Depp trial. I have to admit. The soldiers taken from Mariupol to Russia, no update. And I don't know that we're going to get an update. You know, that's the same thing as the Russians who grabbed that they've got 1 million Ukrainians there too. They can just keep these people hidden and we're never going to hear anything from them. The Swedes folding to Turkey's demands. That's really interesting. I mean, so Turkey, I didn't see the exact demand, but Turkey is pissed because they've got the Kurds, Eastern Turkey, and they think, or they say the Swedes have been too friendly to the Kurds, and that I don't know if the Swedes are, I don't know what the Swedes did exactly, but the Kurds consider the Kurdish, I think it's the PKK or something, some Kurdish political party or whatever, that the Turks consider it a terrorist organization, but I want to say the US does too, from what I read. But nonetheless, the Turks think the Swedes are being way too friendly with the Kurds and they want it to stop. The question is what they want the Swedes to do. And I don't know what that is. I mean, to some degree, I'll say I don't even know if what the Turks are demanding is unreasonable. Because as I said, at least that one political party, the US considers it a terror group too. So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but Sweden wants to join NATO, but I wonder whether this isn't an issue too, where the Turks are saying this. Oop, I can plug in my mic again. Hang on a second, I'll plug this in. Where the Turks are saying this, but what they really want is more planes from NATO. Oop, here we go. What the Turks really want is more planes from NATO, I suspect, you know, so that they may be saying this, but they want something else. I just wonder if that's not the case. Oops, gonna move you a little without dumping this off. I think that's safe. Yeah, that's safe. Okay. I said I've got my iPad on a new stand and I keep experimenting with it so it doesn't jump off and go crazy. Now, Christian, are you in Sweden? I wasn't sure. Bangdal, we see the Kurds as freedom fighters and support them. Lots of discussion. Oh, and then I see a Turk weighing in. All right. Don't fight each other, though. But a Turk is weighing in and saying the Swedes did nothing for the Kurds but supported the terrorist PKK, and the PKK is that group that we're talking about. Annette, Kurds belong to PKK, right? Some of them got asylum in Sweden. The Turks want about 40. Okay. The Turks want about 40 named Kurds delivered to Turkey. Okay. The issue becomes Turkey's got 40 of them that it named. Thank you, Mike. I couldn't thank you during the live with Julia, but I was seeing the stuff you guys were throwing on and tried to give a little notice that I saw it. So thank you. The Swedes want them to turn over 40 of the Kurds and ship and deport them to Turkey. Now, you know, I do know something about this in America, and there was a cleric the Turks wanted that was not totally kosher, what they wanted us to do. And then, of course, Trump's national security advisor was going to have him kidnapped. That was lovely. Turning this off now. No more. Anyway, I don't want to get into the details because obviously this is stuff that that I'm not up. I mean, I'm not up on the details of who the people are, but I do worry about what 40 people. Now, I would imagine a problem for Sweden as well is, does Turkey have the death penalty? I don't know. If Turkey were to have the death penalty, I know European countries in general, for example, even extraditing people to the US, I don't think they, actually, I would say for a fact, European countries will not extradite people to America who would be up for a death penalty crime, because basically then they would be participating in the death penalty. So I don't know if there's a similar problem with Turkey or not, but that's what I was going to say. That's something the Swedes can't do. And I would imagine the Swedes would not want to do that. Yeah. And fair enough from Murad. That's what I was saying. Don't get into a fight here, people. You know, keep it nice, but you know, yeah, but I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind it coming up briefly syndicate, only because it clearly is an issue that was influencing the Ukraine debate because it's the whole issue with Sweden and everything else. So I don't mind getting slightly off topic, keeping it to that, except that it's such a big topic that I don't want it to become like an Arab-Israeli debate where we spend the next 5 hours of everybody hating each other. But Turkey does not have the death penalty. Interesting. I did not know that. Okay. Oh, trust me. I know we're one of the only people who have the death penalty. I know that. But interesting. Okay. All right. Next question from Harvey. It's been found out that UKIP, which is the UK Independence Party, which is kind of racist as I recall, and also Nigel Farage is the Brexit Party, but they were a bunch of racists too, as I recall, which kind of makes sense because they were the Brexit Party. Big surprise they were racist too. I did see this. Received over £700, which I'm going to guess is maybe $1 million-ish, if I'm correct. Something like that, from Russian groups. Could we start to see more far-leaning group leaders be exposed like this, Russian money funding them to cause trouble? Now, I did see that story, and I think whether it was Farage or some of his people were trying to do the old, we accepted $1 million for the Russians, so what? It was a secret. Well, the Russians helped fund Brexit. Oh, well. I worry about, we know that they had helped fund Marine Le Pen in France. Clearly didn't hurt. Well, it didn't hurt her enough. Clearly, she's still doing too well. It's not clear. Don't go. All right, but don't go fighting, guys. I'm warning you. I don't mind. I'm having a little discussion with the YouTubers here. I don't mind you guys discussing the Turkish thing in the comments, but you better keep it nice with each other. All right, because you should be able to have a civil discussion on that. So be nice about that. Exactly. And we do have much love for the Turks, for the Bayraktar, for the drones. Oh, God. Now the neighbor's dog is barking in the hall, which means Sasha's about to go crazy. Oh, God. I know. Don't bark, Sasha, please. Oh, God. Here we go. Oh, God. Yeah, Harvey, I would hope it would make a difference, but I kind of worry that we're in a, okay, as long as you guys, I don't mind you guys chatting about it with yourselves. Just keep it nice. I worry that if the Greek and the Turk can be here together, you all can be here together. I worry that we've entered a stage in politics where outrageousness is no longer off limits, and outrageousness is no longer even held. Okay, there is no longer accountability for outrageousness. And I don't know why, but somehow we've entered that phase, and we have entered a period in which the outrageous people know they won't be held accountable. They know the public is going to move on. The public is going to say, oh, that's partisan or whatever, and they're not going to care. And that scares me. And I think this stuff about Russia funding these groups is part of it. And it worries me. Thank you for the May thing. The May thing. It worries me that that Putin and others and other politicians, frankly, will get the message. And they go, you know what? We can get away with anything. We can get away with anything now. And if groups want to be funded, I mean, I worry about whether Putin is funding stuff in the U.S., Is he funding the alt-right and some of the crazies? I wouldn't be surprised. And I wouldn't be surprised if they take his money. I mean, the Conservative Public Action Committee, which is Public Action Committee, I forget the actual, whether it's committee or whatever, Congress, whatever. They are the biggest conservative conference in America every year, the biggest Republican conference that they have, big meeting of Republicans. They meet in the States, and now they have a meeting they do every year, and they just had it this weekend, in Hungary. And it's called CPAC here in the U.S., and now they've got CPAC Hungary. Why would an American conservative group out of all the countries in the world want to go to Hungary to host its conference? At the same time, you've got Tucker Carlson, who's an extreme right, God only knows what he is, Fox News host, who has been singing the praises of Putin, attacking Ukraine, but also singing the praises of Hungary and their democracy and how it's a model for the world, the way that Hungary deals with politics and deals with policy. I mean, it's insane. So I'm very worried about all of this garbage. And money's probably, again, you go out? Jesus Christ. All right. money's involved, you know, she cracks me up. She just loves the heat, so she's got to go out, but then she gets hot and come in, and we do this back and forth and back and forth. You crack me up, Sash. All right, maybe another question or two, and then we'll call it quits since we're already at the hour and a half mark here. Oh, I know. No, Hungary's important. They're just not a democracy anymore, but they're important. I get that, but you know, I mean, I don't think Winston would be very thrilled with Hungary right now. So, yeah, Sasha's a trip. Sasha's a hip. Russia wouldn't dare attack us. They're losing to Ukraine. They're not going to. Yeah, exactly, Flint. They wouldn't attack us. They can't afford it. The only thing I worry about is that, you know, when you're dealing with Russia, as I've said before, too many of our leaders, I think, in the West, but also Biden too. And it's come up again. The New York Times is doing. She's just. I love this. I will show you guys at least. It just cracks me up. She's just sitting there by the door. It's like la la la. It's 90 degrees, and she's on like cement pavement that's 90 degrees, so it's got to be even hotter. And she's loving it. I could show you guys, but I'm a little nervous about like picking up my whole computer there. She cracks me up. In any case, all right, you know, let's quit the questions for now, unless I missed anything obvious, and we can just hang out for a few more minutes, but we're already getting there. Oh, I've got a friend's birthday tonight, having a birthday dinner, and I'm just kind of like, all right, as long as you've got like an air filter in the home, because I don't want to go and have to breathe again. My breathing, well, I did my inhaler. My breathing today's, ugh. But okay, but be good, Syndicate. Remember, we're trying not to use those words. We're trying not to use those words for the. Well, actually, YouTube may not be as bad. TikTok is where I really worry about it, but it may not be as bad. Stephanie, I don't know. Steph, were you? You know what? Tell me what your TikTok name is right here, and I can get you unblocked or unmuted or whatever it is. But why don't you type in exactly what it is? Favorite cheese is tough because I really do love. I love French goat cheese, and I do. I would say the best way of serving it, like when it's on they make a salad, and they've got these little goat cheese wedges that they heat in the oven and put it on the salad, and oh my god! Sometimes with nuts. Oh my god, so good, absolutely so good. Harvey, was there something else here? Yes, there is something. What else, Harvey? Seems to be a thing with British politics. Oh boy. Russian and green country, which maybe looks like Saudi Arabia. Which one is it? It's one of them, I'm guessing. Is endemic in the system. Actually, if it's there, it's probably not even Saudis. Is it UAE or something? Yeah, thanks, Nathan. Is endemic. The Tories seem to be obsessed with pleasing the millionaires. The Tories are the right-wingers and billionaires of Kensington, which confuses me considering how anti-Boris they are. That's interesting. Russian money. That's scary. But the other, is it UAE? What is it? Whose money is that? That's the other one. Oh, sorry, Sash. Come back in. Come on back. There's my girl. Second. Gotta make sure. All right, now I've got to put more water in there. Hold on. She finally drank her water, although that was a ton of water you drank there. You know? You want me to give you a quick treat? Okay, I will. I'll give you a quick treat. One moment. Sasha gets a treat. It's 3 o'clock. She gets her treat. There we go. Ooh, there you go. Okay. Oh, man. Oh, boy. Oh, sorry. Did we write what the country is? Feta's good. I just had feta in my omelet, so I am a feta fan. But I really like, I don't know. Is there a Turkish white cheese? I don't know what that is, Murat. I don't know what that is. White cheese. But I see the flag, so it must be some kind of Turkish thing. I don't know that I know it. Lori Keene is also blocked on TikTok. How did that happen? I thought Lori was a moderator. I have no idea. I will take a look while we're doing this here. One moment. Or Moon Mia, if you want to do it. Yeah. Boy, we've had a lot of people there. Stelvio? I don't know if I know what it is. No. Here, I will deal with Lori Keene. One moment. Oh, they're getting ready to go up. Let me 1 second here. Oh, hang on. The neighbor's getting ready to. Oh. Though it may be brutal. So I'm telling the neighbors. The neighbors are going upstairs on the roof, so I'm going to be joining them in a second here. But you know what? Mods, because I need it because they're literally going upstairs. They were going to try to barbecue or something. Although I don't think I'm going to handle being up there very long. Can you try to help these guys unmute on? Do you mind me saying unmute on TikTok? I was going to say I can look. Let me still look right now for Lori, and because I can look right there on my TikTok. One moment, folks. I like to help people who get blocked here by accident because it does happen. Lori, Lori, what is it? Underscore Keen. That's easy. Keen. No, I don't think so. Let me try that again. Lori underscore Keen. Oh, did you have 2 accounts, Lori? Am I forgetting that? Yeah. Okay. I see. All right, you did have 2 accounts. Somehow that one got blocked. Okay. Yeah, Lori, you're unblocked on TikTok, so that should be fine now. Okay, thanks, Mia. I appreciate that. I've got Lori unblocked, though. White cheese is the same as feta. Oh, I did not know that. Yeah, free Lori Keene. I know. It rhymes, though. Interesting. I did not know that. Yeah, I will say, though, for feta, interestingly, the Bulgarian feta might be my favorite. The neat thing when you go to Greek stores, probably other people's stores too, but you can have them, if you're Greek, I guess, you can ask them for a taste of all the different fetas and they'll let you try it and you can kind of see which one you like. And I mean, I've got the Doni in my freezer, in my fridge, of course, but I really do like the, I've been taking I take my medicine every day that I've got. It just isn't enough for me. I've been trying to see whether I should get Claritin D, but I don't know whether Claritin D helps for the chest. I'm on Montelukast already. My asthma has been bothering me, and it doesn't bother me like this, but it finally is, which is very annoying. But anyway, but yes, I'm on all my other drugs, and we'll see what happens. Picture on the wall behind. Oh yeah, the picture on the wall behind me is the Louvre, and it is the courtyard of the Louvre. And it is a picture I took years ago, and it is actually a compilation of probably 18 photos that I took. So that I took it like doom, before the iPhone. I know now the iPhone makes it easy. This was way before, and I took like 6 columns of 3 rows of photos and got this really cool program on my computer and stitched them together. It's I love it. It's a really neat picture too, because when you get close, I've shown the TikTok people before. When you get close, it's super detailed. It's really neat. I've been on other stuff. I just don't want to get on more stuff for my asthma. I finally got off the steroids, and long-term use of that stuff is not good for you. And I was a little nervous about, maybe in spring I need them though. But thank you, Melissa. Sweet of you. Yes, but before the iPhone, I didn't use Photoshop. Didn't work as well. I bought. What is it? I still got the program. I've got to look it up. It's I have to look it up. It's a great program. I don't have it handy right here. Photoshop was okay. Not as good. Marat, we may be gone when you're back because I'm signing off right now. All right, guys, I'm going to go because the neighbors are going upstairs. Goodbye, everybody. When I see the goodbyes on TikTok, I will know that the broadcast caught up with me because I know it's a little bit behind. And you guys, the same thing. Thank you. Tomorrow we're doing the same thing, 2 p.m. Eastern time. All right. Oh, there we go. TikTok. 2 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. Paris. And same thing. I'll at this point I won't set it up for a few hours, but you'll see it when we get there. It's called Feta. All right. Okay, guys, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to, in principle, go to a picnic, but I'm not promising anything. And I'm putting on a white shirt. Trust me. All right.